music multiverse listeners, and welcome back to Beyond Your Radio. And this is Unknown Sundays. It's time to talk about another band, an artist, something in the music multiverse that might be relatively unknown to the masses, missed somehow, that our watchers, collectors, listeners might be very interested in, a rabbit hole to go down, so to speak, something from the past and sometimes from the present, maybe both. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. There are a multitude of these you can go back to. Today, we go into a one particular genre, but it can be any genre with us, so be aware of that. This is an extension of the article section on beyondyourradio.com. That's right. I write the articles there, and then I come and do these videos in case you don't wish to go there and read, but there are links provided in the article to some of the things I talk about, the bands, so forth and so on, which help you find the things and go down these rabbit holes. So if you like what you like, please subscribe to the channel because there's a lot more for you to check into. Please feel free to always leave a comment. I always respond. I watch these things. I love the banter. It hasn't been much lately, so I don't know whether I'm offending people or whatnot. Of course, if you like the video, give it that thumbs up. The power, passion, and articulation of the piano comes to us in such a variety of genres, interlaced or profoundly put together, that sometimes kind of hit that singularity, or it can be lost in the music multiverse. What do I mean by that? The instrument itself can be a demonstrative pomp, and circumstance and storyteller, slammed away by those like Billy Joel, Elton John. It can be the background to physically passionate improvisational jazz, or the elemental live edition to a hard rock ballad at the hands of even the roughest hombres that maybe don't even play the piano that well, someone like Axl Rose. It can be even darker in the handling and orchestration, or in flowing action of scenes of motion pictures, or those of crushing metal operas like that of Melted Space, who already has been one of the Unknown Sundays this year. Adult contemporary minimalism to ambient to rock, art rock, and beyond. The piano is a musical making history piece every day. From those that utilize it as their like a manipulative or spirit caller, as Tori Amos says, to Frederic Chopin, to Arthur Rubinstein, to Brad Maldieu, to Art Tatum, to Thelonious Monk, it is the instrument of their creativity. That's no question, right? And it's whether that creation of that creativity is utilized to the beginning of the creativity in the creative process, and then it lies dormant as the melodies are then morphed to their instruments of choice and band. Therefore, it doesn't matter if it's crushing guitar and vocal, or an alternative band that has, huge expansions, or electronica elements, that piece that goes off the reality rails. The piano was the instrument that allowed the piece-by-piece construction, but it's fleeting. It can be done in like an ultimate completeness too, start to finish. This is Maxence Cyrin of Paris, France, an impressionable classical pianist whose skills reveal the basic of construct, but the passion for the swirling creativity of the music scene around him at the time, as he grew up, well, kind of left an impressionable piece that the music scene would allow his recreation of the genre called classical crossover into creations of his own. As we have discussed many times before on this channel, called classical is a hard music multiverse beast to keep up with, let alone conquer it. And for those of you out there that are classical aficionados, collectors, my hat off to you, because that is a demonstrative and detailed piece. There's not a lot of faking it you can do in critiquing one of those records. I know, because I've done it. Not the faking part. I do my best to take some time from the music, power rock, pop, roll distractions that kind of take over, and dive into the emergence of anything that's happening in the classical structure. And the piano usually falls to number one, no question, as it should, when you look at the depth of connection to the very creation of the music of the past. Um, Maxence Cyrin comes to me on the memory of a scene from a television show that I was kind of watching and enjoying, the wild creativity of it. And that show, Mr. Robot. If you're not familiar, it was I think it was on USA. Um, a familiar chord structure was happening in the background of a particular episode, and in the notes from the website, I do have that link to that actual scene and the playing of it. Melancholy piano to that of a song that I could not technically realize and place immediately, but somehow my brain knew it was something important. I dove into the internet to find it, which I've done many times for other songs I've talked about on this channel. It was the Pixies' "Where Is My Mind?" That was actually, I believe, the name of the episode. He was articulating it through classical piano only. And the rest is television continued history, which apparently garnered him huge attraction at that point. That attraction coming in that year. Go figure, because I kind of thought I was the only music idiot, starved, lunatic, obsessed that would do that kind of research to find this guy. But no, go figure. Turns out more than 17 million people per music service find him, as well as television shows. The Leftovers and Blackish have played it. So when I find out this particular classic crossover song is on an album called Nova Piano, not Novo Piano 2, which it's mentioned in Wikipedia, which is wrong, I start to realize that this guy's got a connection to covers, classical crossover. So, by the way, we'll kind of get to that idea of Novo 2, but I make it a point to seek this album out, and yeah, good luck with that in 2009. And even today, if you're going to look at the catalog and turn up, and none of this is ever going to turn up any used bin, I don't think. It hasn't happened to me, and I'm a used bin hacker, right? One of his CDs, Modern Rhapsodies, which was, I believe, his first that really, of covers, brand new, it's 50 plus bucks. And used, it's in the $16, maybe in a good condition. So I have yet to get those. Maxence Cyrin balances classical against minimalism, kind of neoclassical, and even ambient, which actually took its place early on in his creativity, maybe, toward covers on Modern Rhapsodies in just wonderfully almost hidden parts of certain tracks. So you get a little bit of that. It doesn't take me long to find Behind the Wheel. Yes, that's the cover, Depeche Mode. It's as haunting as Depeche Mode's original, but again, it's the basics of a lone piano and a hint of that ambient that was placed maybe very subtly at the beginning. The echo of piano in the creative room is the inspiration for me to write this article in actuality, knowing that this had to be where it all started. And that's the original, because it becomes a vexing manifestation of the classical composition, left alone in the memory of its creator until heard again, apparently somehow in spirit to be rendered by Maxence Cyrin. He would even find a way to interpret Aphex Twin's Window Licker. Which immediately showcased his odd audio choices for sure, but places his age too in that era. A superb piano can be outside the shadow of the finished, morphed, and manipulated final electronica project here. The product is totally different. You know Aphex Twin. If you don't, you got another avenue to go down. It sealed me into all of his cover albums. And I'm not alone, as he has millions of views, listens per month, as people find their way to his stripped, solitary, and completely moving emotional interpretations of all of his incredible genre classics that he's taken through the music multiverse. I'm going to give you a couple just so you understand the breadth of what he's going for and what attracts him. So he's done The Cure, If Only We Could Sleep. He's done Bjork's Hyper Ballad, Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun. Yes, everybody's covered that, but he's covered in Minimalist Piano, Massive Attacks, Unfinished Sympathy, Nirvana, Lithium, Billy Idol, Eyes Without a Face. How about a classical rendition of Jump by Van Halen? Or maybe Justice and their DANCE song, and maybe even go into the Arcade Fire, No Cars Go. He is not only a compositionist for covers that inspired him, but a composer of his creations to the tune of whatever he chooses, but his tune is generally into the melancholy. And the minimal neoclassical. The Fantasist in 2012 would be his first album of original material that would get exposure to a full-on international audience, shaping a neoclassical expression against a tapestry of maybe incredible, thought-provoking, and ear-tantalizing piano movements. Yes, those movements are more in the subtle range. It's not Beethoven. It's not going to go off the rails to some degree. There's not a lot of showcasing of, we'll call it soloist kind of mentality. There are albums in cassette form and very obtuse small record label prior, but they are extremely hard to find and get in their entirety. He was on a Sin Terra Firma label in the mid to late 90s. There's even his attachment to the electronic scene in the album Estrange Nuit, which did not have a label on the followed. That didn't have a label, and I think he even followed that with another record called Power Trance. These are where you feel and hear the Depeche Mode type of thing, where that was going on and how that became. These are like Nine Inch Nails kind of things, but they do have a little bit of what was maybe going to happen out of there, but he was definitely within the mindset of the keyboard being used in a synth-like evilness and harsher electronica into the world of classical. But he was not using a grand piano in there, and it doesn't feel classical. This is a man who was at that point seduced by the dark side of the music versus position at that time. At least that's how I feel. I haven't read anything where he would denounce that or whatnot. So that's where I hear that. But there were always subtle touches there in those recordings, although I have not been able to hear any of them in complete detail because only like tidbits are available electronically. And again, good luck finding a cassette or a CD without paying through the, um, through the butthole. But it does become clear in that if you go hunting and listening, that Depeche Mode has a very strong position and hold on him musically at that point. A darker side, as well as those bands that are dabbling and pushing and trending to that kind of flock. Details of classical piano marksmanship for his style and presentation have a more mellow approach to a shadowy kind of thing, or really the definite haunt. But there are places that share a bolder tap or strike of the piano that's maybe a sprinkle of hope or recovery or transcendence. There is a beautiful flow to his compositions, and the passion for the centerpiece being the piano always is at the forefront of the audio. The only takeaway from this is like it would be interesting to see. I didn't look to the details, but there just doesn't seem to be like this place that he might have played in, that like a cathedral or something that might have added some sort of reverb or haunt or position that might have really affected the production of the record to being monumental. I didn't get that in any of the albums, that even the Fantasist and up to Current Passengers. They seem to be more minimal and tight and produced in studios that are filtered that way, made that way. No risks really taken for an outer source of a cathedral or a church or some other area. The Fantasist, which was done there, actually had an EP called Eye of the Storm. One of the songs is Eye of the Storm. And that's where other artists in the DJ realm and remixes started to come in to play, which is really cool. So that there's another bit of people that are watching this and drawing attention, and those people are very well touted, and they speak and they talk about artists. And again, that gives Maxence another avenue to be heard. Maxence Cyrin is brought to the surface of Unknown Sundays 2025 because I wanted to showcase the basic involvement of the grand piano. The albums, these people talk about creating songs and they don't grab their initial instrument that they take, whether it is Chris Cornell or it is someone else. They start sometimes and most often at the piano, even though they're not a pianist. It could be this place where it all started as a tool of creating the basics, but the instrument itself can be much, much more than that, of simple pop song or electronic song or even a folk song, rock song. It has the power, melody, and inspiring sound to be manipulated into the forefront, where it holds the keys to everything about the song, or it can slip into the background like the essence of a loved one during the panic of our days. Maxence Cyrin can linger or he can dominate. It's up to his ear. It's how he hears it. That could make you fall in love with classical arrangement, or the very reason and continuity in creativity that comes from this ear-filled mind. I certainly hope you take and enjoy the journey of this talented pianist and how he hears this. Maxence Cyrin in my catalog, well, I only have two. I'll mention them as I go through. Estrange Nuit, 1991. That's rare. Good luck. Power Trance, 1992. Again, rare. Good luck. Instance, another rarity in 95, but that is more, I believe, toward the classical side of things, not even close to those two that I just mentioned prior, which are more Nine-Inch Nailsy, for lack of a better term. Modern Rhapsodies in 2005. This is where the covers began. Novo Piano 2010 covers again. The Fantasist, his own production 2012. Nocturne solo piano, beautiful. 2014. I'm still looking to get that one. I don't have it in my collection. Novo Piano 2 comes in 2015, so 5 years later. Other covers in there, beautifully done, and as obtuse as ever. Then in 2022, I buy the first album I can, Aurora, and then Melancholy Island, which follows in 2024. I have that. Spring Song 2023 and Passenger 2024 come next. What did you think of this French classical crossover pianist? There are plenty of these people that do this, but I think this is the one I'm first mentioning to get into. Do you try classical, or are you a diehard? If you're a diehard, give me the 411. Let's talk about 2025 and where you're at right now. It's getting close to the end of the year. I'd love to hear what you're listening to and who's got your ear. I'm probably haven't heard it. Maybe what's out there that matches this, and what do you recommend moving into the end of the year as potential greatness? Join me next week for another Unknown Sundays 2025. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. We've got articles, videos, podcasts coming soon. It's all about albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Thanks for watching. Happy listening.